Hello, and what is going on today, guys? Tomcat here, and today we need to talk about this. What you're seeing on your screen right now. We need to talk about that because it's very, very, very important. Now, let me just go ahead and clear up straight away that that is fan art. That is fan art. That is not from the developers. That's not straight from Turn 10 or anything like that. However, there is definitely a lot to be talked about in regards to Forza Motorsport 7 and what we're all hoping to see. So, and the gameplay that we're using here is a lap I did of the Nürburgring in an A-Class project car that I'm working on, which is a Honda S2000. There were a couple of mistakes that I made on this lap. This was just a one lap of the Nürburgring. This was not a flying start; it was a standing start. And there was one spot where we had sort of a spin. Not here. I mean, it was more of like a spin slash big understeer plow moment. But I'm getting the tune sorted out on this car, and it's definitely nowhere close to being perfect yet. So that's in case you see any hiccups in the lines or stuff like that, then that's where that comes from. And as far as the setup goes, I'll do another video if you guys want me to explaining what the setup is, and I need to use it more often in videos. But the wheel stand is Wheel Stand Pro, and then everything else is Thrustmaster. So I definitely, if you guys want me to explain more of what that all is, then I will. But let's get back to our topic at hand. So the Lamborghini Huracan being in that picture, I mean, is kind of like, okay, we get it. It's probably not going to be, you know, a cover car or anything like that for Motorsport 7. But I mean, if you think about it, you know, if you think about who they've worked with and the cover cars in the previous games, then that's an interesting thing to think about, right? We've seen all the progression in cover cars. We saw back a few years ago the big push with Audi was huge. It was absolutely huge. And then with the Ford GT, the new Ford GT, obviously, being a big push with that, and of course with the Ford GT being a big deal that was that they took around with the game and everything. And now here we are awaiting another Motorsport 7 game. So the other reason why I wanted to use the wheel in this video is because I wanted to talk about wheel support in Motorsport 7. And by the way, I know there are going to be people that are going to accuse me of playing on 540 rotation, which I'm not sure why, but every time I post a wheel video, people are like, "Ooh, it's on 540." I actually use this particular wheel when I'm doing circuit racing. I run the wheel on 720. I tried 900. It was okay, but I feel like 720 works a little bit better for me as far as circuit racing style stuff goes. So that's what I prefer, like I said, to run when I'm doing circuit or time attack or things like that. And that's a really good side note, because when it comes to the Motorsport franchise, I've gotten really into hot laps, time attack, leaderboards. And I feel like when you play with a wheel, but even when you don't play with a wheel, you can get really in-depth and really geeky about things like lap times, things like different tracks, and really spending a lot of time working on a car and working on your lap time, practicing each individual corner. That might sound extremely boring to you drift guys out there, and I understand that because drift is something that I enjoy as well. But I think the whole circuit thing, and not even racing, just time trials and lap time based competition in general, has really taken off for me personally as an interest in Forza Motorsport. So I'm really hoping that they expand upon that idea in Motorsport 7, and I would really like to see more of that. And Rivals mode in Forza Motorsport 6 is great. I really like it, and I really enjoy it. But I also think that there should be a little bit more variety in things around the time attack based system. Now, that doesn't mean like more, little weird challenges like track days and like autocross and things like that. Those are different. Track days, where you weave through slower traffic, and then autocross, which is it's just basically a cone course around a track. I get those, but I've never been a huge fan of them personally. I could kind of take or leave those modes. They can kind of just be on their, be on their own. And I understand that there may be people that play them, but I'm not one of them. I generally prefer to get rid of the other cars on track and just run for lap times. Really just run for lap time's sake. And that becomes a lot more interesting, obviously, when you start using a wheel. It becomes a lot more entertaining for yourself when you're using a wheel, because then you get to the point where you really start to dive into each little bit of your lap, and you really start to practice each little bit of your lap, and you start to sort out your tune, you figure out what wheel setup works best for you, and some people think that's overly complicated. I personally think it's fun. Diving into all those different settings and figuring out what works best for you is a big part of the game. It's a big part of Forza to me. And I would like to see a little bit also of an improvement to force feedback. Force feedback is good. It's just I feel like it's not quite where it could be. I would like to see that be implemented just a little bit more in depth, like worked on a little bit more in depth, and just worked on in such a way that it just has that little bit of an edge to it, a little bit of an extra realistic edge. It's very predictable right now, and that's fine, but I think that you could serve to make it just a little bit more edgy and a little bit more, not necessarily make the cars feel twitchy, but the actual force feedback itself, there could be a little bit more responsiveness there. But overall, I think that's definitely a major thing for Motorsport 7. I really prefer to see wheels be focused on a good bit. I mean, obviously, controllers are what the game is played with most of the time, probably more than 60-70% of the time in the game, maybe even more than 70%. I don't know the specific figure, but I bet you it's probably more than that. And I think that you can definitely work out a happy medium between the two. And I understand that most of your players are going to be playing on controller. They just are. Like, most people don't have a wheel and pedal setup. I understand that. But at the same time, you really, for that little hardcore group of drivers, you really want to have that right there. And this is where I plowed off the track. I kind of got up onto the rumble strip and upset the car and ended up plowing the opposite direction of the way I wanted to go. So, but that was really the only mistake this lap. In the final corner too, we kind of got off of the off the track a little bit, which is a weird place for that to happen, because the final corner is like I started getting into this weird back and forth snap, almost like a little snap oversteer fishtail kind of thing, and ended up recovering it, pretty decently, and then just made it back out onto the back straight. So, or well, not really the back straight, more of the front straight. In relation to the Nürburgring, I'm not sure which straight this is. I just call it the main straight because it's by far the straightest part of the Nürburgring. So if you guys enjoyed this overview of what I'm excited to see for Forza Motorsport 7, please let me know in the comments what you guys also are interested in seeing in the game, because Turn 10, Turn 10 does look at these videos, and they do check these things out, and they do communicate with people like me. So and they watch out for you guys as well on Twitter, in the comments. So let's really have a discussion here about what we think could be done with the next game, and I'm very excited to see where I think that could go. So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. Tell me in the comments below what you thought of it. If you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe for continued Forza Motorsport 7 coverage, as well as Forza Horizon 3. The new car pack is coming out tomorrow. And again, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Talk to you guys later.